Hey, you guys, can you guys hear me? Want to make sure everybody can hear me. Make sure we're not having another YouTube situation. Okay. All right. I hope you guys are doing good. Thank y'all for joining me for the Zoom meeting. I've been wanting to have a meeting all week, but I have been just under the weather. But I was like, while I feel good, let me have one right after the live stream. The live stream was popping. I had a good time. I hope you guys enjoyed it. So I wanted to come on here. Thank you so much, Nick. I want to come on here and talk about a lot of the security systems and the fraud that's going on and ways to protect yourself. I was having a conversation with Emily, and she was talking about, a lot of things that she'd been hearing as well with people's systems getting hacked. And she was saying that she doesn't know a lot about IT, software, stuff like that. So I said that might be a really good topic to hit on for people who are not aware of how bad it's getting right now. One of the ways that the gas pipeline that was hacked that caused national news, the whole Southeast and some of the East Coast was affected when it got hacked. A lot of people think that it's just a matter of them getting into the system. It's by luck they found a vulnerability. And while some of that is true, what a lot of these guys who do ransomware attacks do, they find out who's in charge of the security. They find out who the password guy is, who's like the person in charge of like the IT department. And then what they do is like they kind of virtually stalk you. So they find out your name, they find out what company that you work for, and then they basically follow everything that you do off of work on your personal computer. I mean, it can take months, it can even take years, but they're constantly watching. So if you're somebody who does like IT or security for like a high profile, hospital or, just anybody in security period, doesn't have to be high profile, they can sit and watch you. So one ransomware attack that happened a few years ago, the way they were able to get into the system is that they found out the guy's name and his personal email address. And they found out that he was a big sports fan. He was like, I'm just going to throw out a team, Green Bay Packers. So he was like a big Green Bay Packers fan. They had been kind of stalking him off of, the job on his personal, just the things that he did on social media, basically. So like his Twitter, his Instagram, and things like that. Again, we have so many people who follow us. We don't know who all these people are. Just like me, I have tons of followers. I don't know everybody, right? So what they ended up doing was sending him something saying that he had won a chance to meet some of the Green Bay Packers. He was like, super fan. They want to do something for like super fans. And so he's excited. He's like, oh my God, I'm such a big fan of the Packers, per se. And he clicked on the email. And once he clicked on the email, they were able to get all of the information that they needed off of his computer. And then they were able to use that vulnerability to break into his work system. And that's how they were able to perform their ransomware hack on the job. So a lot of people don't understand that on top of companies being hacked, you can be hacked as well. Now, I remember like around the holidays, like around Christmas, I had posted in the Discord and I was like, be very careful, because I was noticing as well a rise in text messages. So I don't know if you guys noticed that around the holidays, it's like, oh, we have your Amazon delivery, give us a call or click this link, or, oh, we're trying to make sure you get your package from UPS, and then it's a link. Well, what happens is if you click that link, they're called spam texts. Yep. If you click those links, some of those links have ransomware on there. So then what happens is you click the link, they take over your phone. Okay, so now they're taking over your phone. You might have nudes in your phone, something they can use against you, or, all your friends' phone numbers. They might start harassing your friends, your family, and they say, okay, the only way you can get back the data in your phone is to pay us $10,000, and you have a week to come up with that money. And if you don't have it, they're going to leak the nudes. They're going to, hack into your friends' system, and it just becomes just a snowball effect. And this has happened to so many people. So, and it's gotten really bad, like the whole scamming shit. the malware. This is like a side hustle now. I mean, this has always been around even back years ago when I was doing IT, but I'm noticing there's like a super uptick. And that might be because the economy has kind of tanked. People are doing bad, things like that, possibly financially. But the uptick is very, very scary. And it's instantly. Once you click the link, there's no going back. There's no turning off your phone. They have your data. So it's the point now when my friends send me links, like they'll send me YouTube videos. If it does not populate the YouTube video, I don't click on it. Like one of my friends sent me the link earlier about the Vivica Fox thing. It was just the link. And I text them back. I'm like, hey, what is this video about? Because I'm not clicking any link that doesn't populate anything. And he was like, oh, it's the Vlad Vivica Fox interview. You got to check it out. And I said, okay, cool. So what I did, I went on to YouTube myself and just Googled it. Like, I'm just very, very cautious about links. Even emails that I get, because I get so many emails from the public. It's like, hey, T, I drew this picture, or hey, T, look at this, or click this. I don't click on anything anymore. So a lot of times when people want me to click stuff, let's say, like I have a separate business email that the public doesn't have, that I use for like all my advertising, like the people who I work business with, they have this email. Nobody in the public has this email. So that's one way to protect yourself as well, is to keep, certain emails for just you and certain business affairs. So I have a public email. That public email is trash. It's full of spam, folks cussing me out, people sending death threats. So I don't give a fuck about that email. Whatever. I go in there, a few times a month. I'll go in there and approve some people for Discord and just little stuff like that. Other than that, I really don't even reply through that email because it's just full of spam and junk and just, probably malware, who knows. But I don't click on anything that goes to that particular email. And so that's what I want to just kind of talk to you guys about, ways to protect yourself. Because you guys have to understand that as innocent as an email may seem, it can wreak havoc on your life. Okay. So one of the ways that you guys can protect yourself is to make sure that you guys have an antivirus. And I know like the thing with, like, if you're a Mac user like me, a lot of people feel like, oh, well, I have a MacBook, I don't need an antivirus. But even MacBooks need antiviruses, because it's gotten that bad where Macs are now being infected with malware and things like that. Yes, they're a bit safer than a PC, but those days of I don't need an antivirus on my MacBook because, I'm Team Apple, those days are long gone. So I use AVG. That's one of the antivirus softwares that I use on my MacBooks. And it works really good. Like everything needs some type of antivirus, like somebody's saying in the chat. Another thing you guys can use on top of an antivirus is to be wary, pay very, very close attention to URLs. Because sometimes you might click on a URL and they'll, it'll be like a glitch. And I call it like a glitch in the matrix. And then you'll be directed somewhere else. There's times that I've gone to go click on something thinking it was something from PayPal. And I've had to stop and stare at it. And then I'll notice like a slight deviant or a letter missing. So you have to be very, very aware of that. So usually a lot of times when I get those type of phishing emails, I'll forward them over to PayPal themselves so they know. So those are some things that you have to just really be careful. I got hacked a while ago on Instagram. I didn't really talk about it, to a lot of people. But what happened on Instagram, and thank God it was just somebody, I don't know who it was, but it wasn't anything too malicious. But what happened is that somebody who was in my DM, a tea sipper, they sent me a message and they're like, oh, T, I drew this, because people send me pictures and all types of stuff. And they sent me the link to go look at the picture. Well, when I clicked on it, all of a sudden it logged me out my Instagram. And I just wasn't thinking, this is how quick it happened. I wasn't even thinking, it logged me out my Instagram. I'm like, damn, what the hell? So I was confused and I tried to go back in my DM and I couldn't, I was logged out. So then I logged back into Instagram, and I'm telling y'all, within about 30 minutes, my Instagram was taken over. The person was sending DMs to people, telling them I want to suck their dick. How are they doing? I was like the biggest whore in my DMs. And I'm just like, wow, it was crazy. And it's like everybody was like hitting me up. The one guy from, I'm gonna say his name, he's from Love and Hip Hop. He's like, I know you didn't send this shit, T. He's like, you gotta be hacked. I said, you damn right, I'm not trying to suck your peen. So I had to go in and basically rechange my password. I was able to get back in, rechange my password. But if that person wanted to be malicious, they really could have just took over my Instagram and just wreaked havoc. But once I was able to rechange and verify my passwords using my codes and stuff, it was able to kick them out of the system. But it's real. It happened that quick, you know? And so what I ended up having to do, I ended up having to kick old girl out of my DMs. Like, you got to get the hell up out of here because you're sending me malware. You know, I don't know if you don't know that you're hacked, but you are. So a lot of times when you start getting strange messages from people and you know how they get down and how they talk, and if they're saying stuff and it's just not their character, they've been hacked. And you need to be wary of what they're sending you, because then the message that I was sending to people in my DMs, some of them were clicking on it too. So I had to go in once I realized I was hacked, like literally DM so many people and apologize, like, please don't click the link. It's not me, please. I mean, it was just ridiculous. My DMs were in shambles for like a whole day. And then unfortunately what it did, it brought in a bunch of weirdos into my DMs because they were like literally just messaging random people. So now there's like all these random people in my DMs like, hey, who are you? Like, what's up? You know, it was just the weirdest shit. So you just have people on the internet who are just down to do nefarious stuff. So you got to really, really watch for that. And the same thing on Facebook. They do things like that as well. So suspicious websites, suspicious links, I took some notes here, are things you want to look for. And then another thing is, so let's say you do get hacked, right? So let's say you get hit with ransomware and they're like, hey, if you want your data back, if you want your information back, it's going to cost you $10,000. Now, the police always say do not pay them because that's what they want, which is true. But it depends on how valuable that information is to you, that sometimes you may have to pay them to get it back. But one way you can stop all that is by making sure that your systems are backed up. So whatever is important to you, make sure you have all your phone numbers backed up, your pictures, your data, any passwords and things like that. Because if you have a backup, so even if they take your stuff, you're not going to be pressed to pay them $10,000 or whatever the ransom is because you have a backup. So if you take all my data, I don't give a shit because I have a whole terabyte filled with all my information that I can just re-upload onto my laptop or onto my phone. There's also backup apps that you can use on your phone that backs up your phone every few days. So like for me, my pictures, text messages, everything I have is backed up. So you want to make sure that you use some of those apps. Another thing is passwords. Okay. A lot of people get very comfortable with using the same password over and over. I've been guilty of this. Also using just simple passwords like 123 blue, or, you know, I don't know, YouTube is cool. You know what I mean? Like you want to make your passwords very, very difficult. So one thing I learned, this is the best way to make up a difficult password, is to use titles of songs or poems that you like. So let's take a song. Let me just think of a random song. Why can't I think of a random song all of a sudden? I'm like, what's a random song that would be like a decent password? Okay, Beyonce's Check on Me Tonight, right? So I'm gonna write it in the chat how I would do a password with Check on Me Tonight. So something like you want to start with the first letter of the song, and then maybe like a capital O, small n. So check on, and then instead of a M, use like the number 3. Well, hold on, an M and then a 3 for the E. So it's like you're using bits and pieces, right? And so then you would, so let's just say we just use that. You would add more letters and stuff like that, or maybe even using like the number of letters in Beyonce's name to be like a letter that you can use. So that way you kind of mix it with big letters, lowercase letters, pound signs, different symbols and things like that. So that's like a really good way. Somebody said ambitions of a writer. Yeah, something like that. So those are really good ways to get passwords. It can be a song, but then you're breaking that song up. So that way it's more complicated, but you're going to know it. You're going to know how you put it together. So that's a really good tip if you can't think of a password. You know what I'm saying? Use different options in the lettering of songs and poems. So those are some of the best forms, because you don't want your password to be something easy. And I know a lot of people feel like, well, I'm not an influencer, I don't have a big fan base or whatever. All that doesn't matter. If you're on the internet, you're at risk of being hijacked with malware or ransomware. So you want to make sure that you have all your T's crossed and your I's dotted, because there's a lot of scams going on here. I also want to play a video for you guys real quick. In Detroit, they're talking about how people are stealing people's personal information to apply for PPP loans and tax refunds. So again, it's not even so much about them getting into your emails or taking your pictures, it's them getting your data. And that data is gold to a lot of, criminals out here. And so what they're doing now, they're able to get your social security number because they've taken over your computer. Now they can apply to get PPP loans in your name, tax refunds in your name. And once you've been hacked and once your identity has been taken, talk to people who have gone through identity theft. It is a mess to clean up. It is a mess. So it's better that we prevent it now than, giving these criminals a way to get into your system. So let me go ahead and share the screen with you guys here. Give me just a second. Okay, here we go. Oh, hold on.
You're waiting on that PPP check, and as you wait, you get an email. That email is from one of the bad guys trying to steal your money. Joining us now is Laura Blankenship with the Better Business Bureau. Laura, it's good to see you. Thanks for joining us. This is one of the newest scams you're hearing about. Fill us in. How does it work?
Anytime there is money involved, scammers are lurking. So something that people need to be cautious about is scammers using your business and personal information to apply for PPP loans. So they can do this by using the business owner's social security number and then the business EIN number. And they can obtain that by hacking into your personal information. That can be obtained by a simple phishing message. That's why it's so important to be very cautious whenever you're doing anything online, because just a simple mistake online can open you up to a world of trouble, unfortunately, and compromise your business and your personal information.
Yeah, Lauren, this isn't just for the PPP program. We understand this is happening with people who are applying for SBA loans as well.
People are applying for that loan using the business owner's social security number and again, that EIN number for your business. So you have to make sure that you are guarding that information very closely.
Yeah, and so many people right now are really kind of scratching and clawing for every dime they can get to make sure they can feed their families. And that's where they're rushing and then getting trapped by the bad guys.
Absolutely. That's why you have to be very cautious and deliberate with everything that you're doing, especially where your business is concerned. So again, if you receive an email that you weren't expecting and it says something about the PPP loan or the SBA loans, and then it asks for you to click on a link, that could potentially be a phishing link. And that could download malware to your computer, opening you up to compromising all of your personal information, passwords, anything that is stored on your device. So you have to be very careful. Use strong passwords, use those two-step authenticators, and make sure that you are only communicating with the actual person that you believe that you're communicating with. Do your additional research. That's so important. And the same thing is happening with unemployment. There are people that are filing for people's unemployment because they have the person's personal social security number. So you have to be very careful with your personal information.
All right, important information. Laura Blankenship with the Better Business Bureau. Thanks for joining us.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and click off of this.
Lots of rules, Hugh Monica.
Okay. So they made some really good points. Somebody in the chat is saying that their nephew's social security number was stolen and somebody bought a boat loan with it and they applied for it in his name. It was 2 years ago and he's still fighting with the IRS to prove that it wasn't him. So yes, it is that bad. So let's go ahead and take calls. I want to hear from you guys. If you guys have any other security tips you want to give to us as a family, if you've been through it, if you've been hacked, if you've had your identity stolen, let's talk about it. Let me go ahead and bring on Rejoice. Rejoice, go ahead and unmute your microphone.
Okay, so I just want to give like a little bit of news about the passwords that is changing within the tech world, and then I'm gonna give like a little bit of information about how easy it is for hackers to hack people's identity and stuff like that. So like when it comes to passwords, so I recently found out that big tech are starting to try and get away from passwords because they are deemed unsafe right now, especially because people do not use difficult passwords. So it's so easy for people to get hacked by their passwords because they use really easy to find passwords. And so what they are, as you've noticed, what they started doing is they started using two authentication with like, Google when you try to sign in with your Gmail, and like biometrics, so Face ID, thumbprint, your Apple Watch. Like a lot of companies are starting to not even want to use passwords, and they're trying to figure out a way how to get rid of passwords altogether and just stick with two factor authentication and then biometrics. So that's what I found out, which in some ways it is safer, but you're giving up one privacy for another. So like even though yes, your privacy can be more secure, now you're giving up, your thumbprint info and your, your structure of your face. Now, even though these companies say that they aren't keeping these info and it's only stored on your device, 9 times out of 10 they're lying about that, because in order for them to be able to make sure that the thumbprint works and Face ID works, they have to keep some traces of that info within that company.
Right.
And then also when it comes to hacking, Apple is literally one of the easiest products to hack, mainly because there is no differentiation of the products. So, all the iPhones are the same, all the MacBooks are the same, all the Macs are the same. When it comes to, Androids and Windows, you have the Dell, HP, you have Google Pixel, just all Samsung, all these different types when it comes to Windows and Android. But because Apple literally doesn't change anything up, once one hacker, let's say, hacks the infrastructure of an iPhone, every iPhone is now vulnerable to that attack, which is why you see Apple always coming up with security updates, because there has been a breach. And also because you have to sign in with your iCloud to every Apple device, once a hacker has your iCloud, all your devices are unsecured and there's no going back at that point. You're going to have to make a new one or something, which is why it's so easy to get hacked on with Apple products. But Android and Windows aren't totally safe either, because let's say a hacker hacks into a Samsung device. Well, that the whole line of that Samsung device is hacked, and it is vulnerable to that point, because it's really easy to hack into Android devices more than it is to Apple, which is one great thing about it. But Android and Windows are much safer, to be honest, when it comes to cybersecurity, because once a hacker can find a way to get into your Apple device, that's it. It really is.
We can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
Okay, now we can hear you, kind of fading out or something.
I'm fading out.
We can hear you now.
Okay, did you hear what I said, or?
Yeah, we heard you.
Okay. Well, that's all I had to say.
Oh, okay, well.
That's why I was so confused. I was like, wait.
No,
Was I
no, we heard
talking to
everything you were
myself?
saying. Then it just sounded like he was like slowly fading out or something. But no, what you're saying is correct. And especially with the biometrics, they're going to start pushing that, especially in a lot of corporate companies. I know they're already doing this in Silicon Valley. The way that they're able to get into their computers is by facial recognition. They're
Yeah,
doing
like
the passwords.
even with Google, I found out, I don't think it's out to the whole public yet, but I know certain companies that use like Google products. So Google has this two authentication key that you plug into your laptop, and it makes everything two-factor authentication.
Yeah,
So
they
like you
gave
use
us
it.
those at the YouTube event in 2019. They gave us those free Google keys.
Yeah,
I
but I don't
didn't
think
use it. I didn't.
I don't think everyone has it out totally though.
Well, another good thing I forgot to mention for people who are just really bad with keeping up passwords, because one thing is you should not use the same password for every single thing you do.
Yeah.
So your YouTube password should not be the same as your Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, because once they get one, 9 times out of 10, they'll be able to hack your entire social media, right? So for people, they're like, well, damn, I don't want to keep, memorize 50 different passwords. There's these apps that you can use. I have 2 apps that I really love. I use them both because I just always have to have a backup of, one or another. But I have been using 1Password probably like the past 5 years. That is one of my favorite password storing apps. And the way you get into it is with biometrics, your finger, or, you have to put in like a super long password that you have to memorize. But it keeps track of like everything. You can keep everything in there, all the websites that you visit. There's something on there for like your social security number, EIN number, bank information. So there's like all types of different slots. And it's very hard. Like you cannot get in, it would not allow anybody. So if you lose your phone and somebody tries to go in there, unless it matches your fingerprint or they have that password, it will not work. Another one, now this is one I'm testing out. They're newer, but it's Dashlane. And so I'm doing the 30-day trial with them to see if they're worth me keeping on top of 1Password. Now the 1Password, they charge you per year, but I've been with them for 5 years with no issues. Now, what I do like about Dashlane is that once you log in with your master key, they are attached to the Google network. So what Dashlane does is you have to put in an extension. You know how we put in an extension for the Netflix parties? Same concept. So you put in the extension to Dashlane, you log in with your master password. Now, every single website that you visit, be it YouTube, Google, email, whatever, they're going to keep track of that. So then you don't have to memorize for every website that you visit. So as long as you log in one time, anytime you're asked to re-log into Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Dashlane will take over and it will automatically put in those passwords for you. But it only works once you've logged in with the master password. So it only keeps you logged in, I believe, for like a few days, and then you have to re-log in with the master password. If you use it through your phone, then you have to use your biometrics. But those are good ways to help keep your passwords if you can't memorize all of them. Because I have a bunch of crazy passwords for every single website that I visit. So sometimes it does get kind of crazy trying to memorize. So things like 1Password and Dashlane, Dashlane, those are the best that I've seen so far. And like I said, I just started using Dashlane about 2 weeks ago. 1Password, I've been using them for the past 5 years. They also have that option too, where they can populate your passwords for you on the websites that you visit. But I find the interface with Dashlane a lot easier, and it seems to go a lot smoother than 1Password. But 1Password is definitely really good for storing your passwords, going in there, clicking reveal, seeing what the password is, copying, pasting, and things like that. So those are just some more tips that you guys can use. Was there anything else you want to add, Joyce? Okay.
No, that's really it. Just when it comes to clicking links, you really got to be careful because it is so easy to just click to just not even realize that the link is incorrect and just automatically click it. But that is really dangerous Because I know
Yeah.
a lot of times I get links about like, oh, you won this prize from T-Mobile, this, that, and the third. And I haven't even entered any T-Mobile giveaways. And I feel like a lot of the times when these companies do giveaways, they give your information to, you know, these hackers who do ransomware and all that.
Mhm.
I feel like they do it a lot that way they make money off of it, because why am I getting so many, you know, T-Mobile so-called giveaways that I haven't even entered?
Right. All right, Rejoice, I'm gonna go ahead and bring some other people on, but thank you for that information. Okay, let me go ahead and bring on I Am Free Queen. Go ahead and unmute your microphone.
Hi T, hi everyone. Thank you
Hi.
for letting me on tonight. Been a tea sipper for 3 years, so I'm really excited.
Right.
A few of the things I wanted to just impress upon everyone. My background by profession is HR, and back in 2016, we experienced the Yahoo breach where somebody sent a phishing email to Yahoo CEO, or excuse me, Yahoo HR. They sent information out. You know, from my end, I'm seeing a lot of people come at businesses, companies, people who just want people's information in mass quantities. And some of the things our IT department taught us was look at that email address. If it's funny, send it over to IT, like you said, block it, send it to your junk mail on your end. And that's your personal cell or personal email, computer, whatever. And, you know, if you're working, work email too, and your work cell, because for the last year, maybe 10 or 15 times a week, I get crazy links in text messages. And talk with IT, they said all you can do is block it, because like the previous caller said, they do sell your information. You know, if it could be to hackers, it could be you signed up for a coupon. They could come from anywhere. We just don't really know where they come from. It could be a job site, it could be anywhere. And also theft protection. A lot of theft protection plans are getting really, really cheap. I talked to someone 2 weeks ago that spent $30,000 to clear up identity theft. So and she said it was with her own personal money. And she didn't realize that through the company, it's maybe $120 a year. I pay $90 a year to just for that monitoring, because so many people, like you said, even before the PPP and the scammers, if it's free money, people are going to come out and they're going to want a little piece of it. And I just wanted people to also be aware of any third parties that you deal with. If you have businesses, or if you buy any type of product with people, that's another way that your information can get taken. And it's at no fault sometimes through those third parties. They could send malware, phishing emails, and all that information. They just wait for the moment to just pull it and hold on to the data. So it's happened so much. Even when we were watching the streams, it happened to me, and in my personal life, I saw so many, it happened to so many people. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is really a thing. And it affects a lot more people than you think. So thank you all for letting me speak. And I'm going to hush now.
Definitely. Thank you so much for calling in, sis. I appreciate it. Yeah, one of the things, if you guys don't know, the lady, the IRS tax queen, Rashia Wilson from Florida, I talked about her in that video about salt and paprika, how they were doing the IRS fraud. One of the ways that she was able to get her data, she was data mining directly from these companies. So she had deals with people who worked in HR. She had deals with, you know, post office workers, and they would sell her people's information, their names, their social security numbers. So sometimes it's not even so much phishing. Sometimes it's the jaded, HR person who's selling your information. Sometimes it's the teenager who's working at, customer service and has access to people's data, who's low key selling it as well. So be very, very mindful that your data is out there. So you want to stay on top of it. Somebody was talking about LifeLock. LifeLock is another good one that helps, track if anybody's trying to open up a credit card or, open up any line of credit in your name. So a lot of those, things are good to have. And people feel like, well, it's $99 a year. How do we even know if they're really monitoring? But that's where you have to do your research and make sure it's a legitimate company, that they're actually doing the work, and that they give you some type of synopsis at the end of the year showing what was monitored, what they found, what they didn't find. But we're living in a day and age where it is getting very, very scary out here, and data mining is big business. Okay. If you think it's a joke, ask somebody who's had their identity stolen. It's one of the hardest things to clean up. Let me go ahead and bring on Cleopatra 8838. Please go ahead and unmute your microphone. Hello. Try it again. Okay, maybe she's not available. Let me go ahead and bring on Yesenia 777.
Hello?
Hello, is this Cleopatra?
Yeah, it's me, it's Sarah. Can you hear me or should I get my headphones?
No, we can hear you perfectly.
Oh, okay. So, sorry, I'm a little bit nervous.
Oh, that's okay.
I love your videos, by the way. I every time you post, I'm always on top of it. And I appreciate you, giving us all this information. And I love how honest you are. Honestly, you're like one of the only people I really, really follow. But anyway, so you were talking about the ransom virus thing, that actually happened to my mom and my grandpa. They have a store. They have a health food store. And somebody was trying to steal their information. They're like, oh, that was actually the first time I heard about it. Because they were like, oh, they went in their system and they took all their information. They're like, it was the products they had in the store. And they're like, oh, if you don't, give us, it was $10,000 a person wanted. They're like, if you don't give us this money, then you won't ever get your information back. So thank God it wasn't really a big deal for us, because it was just the inventory and products, and we're kind of a smaller store. It was a really big mess that we had to deal with. So we just updated the system and stuff like that. But when you talked about the pipeline thing and I was showing it to my mom, I was like, oh my God. She goes, oh my God, Sarah, that's what happened to us in our store. And we're just like, that's so crazy. And I was telling her about, you were talking about the DC police station. She didn't know that. She was oh my God, I cannot believe that happened. But yeah, and you were talking about the passwords thing. This is what I actually personally do, because I get so paranoid about the passwords thing. What I started to do was, you could go on Amazon and get these miniature password book. I know it's really old fashioned. And if you lose the book, then all your passwords are gone. It's a little book you write down I manually write down my passwords. I don't really have it saved anywhere on my phone, just in case my phone gets lost, or because I had an iPhone before and I had it in actually really good condition. One day it just wouldn't turn back on. So I had to literally get a new phone. So that's what I personally do with my passwords, is I keep it in a little booklet. I make them hard. I'll be okay, I don't need to have it memorized. I'll have it in the book. And anytime I remember, I'll just go refer to the book and just look up the password. Cause I'm just I don't want anybody to steal my identity or anything crazy like that. And I was like, man, and when I saw you were doing the live stream, I was like, oh, I need to tell her what happened. But thank God for my mom's store and my grandpa's store. Nothing really majorly happened. My grandpa's we're not gonna pay this person this money. It wasn't that big of a deal, thank God. I think that what they do is they'll just steal the information. Whether it's has a lot of value or not, they'll just kind of phishing, basically, to see what they can get out of people.
Right. And then it's scary when somebody's taking over your system and it's like the ghost in the machine. and they're telling you this is what I need in order for me to leave and you to get everything back. So that alone just, scares people into paying up. When a lot of times, if you have your whole system backed up, I mean, unless it's something very devious, that they can do with your information, like I was saying, like nudes or something that you have on your computer, nobody should be having nudes on their computer, right?
Yeah, honestly, yeah, I wouldn't do that either,
Right. And that's
you
what
don't
happened with a
know
lot of
what
those
people could do
celebrities.
to you. They
Yeah,
can
that's what
blackmail
happened a few
you.
years ago. I don't know if you remember with all those celebrities that were getting hacked in the iCloud. They were putting nudes on the iCloud and they got hacked. So,
Actually, what's even more scary was I saw this video where somebody was blackmailing like this 15-year-old kid for getting him money. What's even more sad is he killed himself because this person was like, oh, you need to give me like $3,000 or I'm gonna send your nudes out. And I guess it was like some girl pretending to be someone, and she was trying to, I don't know if it was a girl or a guy, but the scammer was pretending to be someone, and he got the kid to send nudes, and then that person was blackmailing that kid, and he ended up killing himself, which is just so
I
sad.
think you're talking about that girl who they were telling her to drink bleach.
I don't know, but
that's from a few years ago.
Either or, it was just really sad and disturbing. And for people that want to watch about scamming, there's two things that I actually watched. One was on Hulu. It was like this lady, she was going to like, there's like different levels of scammers. There's people that they'll like phone calls. They'll sit there and call people and they'll be like, hey, you won this thing, but you need to deposit X, Y, and Z amount of money so you can get your prize. And the lady, she's like, yes, it's on Hulu. Yes, somebody was commenting and saying that it is. I think it's like called trafficking. Okay. It's just so, it's so disturbing how these people, they just, the scamming, the low level of scamming was a calling one. Okay. One guy, I don't know how they got him to like send him like $100,000 or something. They just get you on the loop, and they like, oh, the scammers were like, yeah, we know how, we always call Americans because they're always so lonely and they're really gullible. I was like, that's so crazy. And then they went to other scammers. They were like in Israel. They had like, the disturbing thing was they had like an office full of people, and they tell them, okay, guys, they acted like some investment company where they tell people, hey, if you give us $10,000, you will grow and you see $50,000 in your account. The craziest thing is they'll show you make money, and then you'll put more money, and then all of a sudden you'll have, like, example, $100,000, and they'll disappear with your money.
Yeah, there's all types of scams out here.
Well, it is. I tell my mom, I'm like, you need to be careful. There are scammers out here. You need to protect your information. You need to update your stuff. I tell her that all the time. I think she's finally starting to listen to me.
Well, that's good. That's good.
But yeah, I talked a lot. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Well, thank you so much for calling in, Cleopatra. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. My name is Sarah, by the way. I need to change it on the Discord. But yeah.
Nice talking to you.
You too. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
Bye. So they were saying in the chat that the show is on Hulu and it's called Trafficking Scammers. And they were saying that they said on the show that Americans are stupid and give away their info. Somebody else was writing up above. I'm gonna read it because they were making some really good points. Because when I worked in customer service, this was very true. They were saying that not only that people will freely give you their information when not even requested. I work in a customer service center, and people will offer up their social security number, their full credit card information without even asking for anything, even before they verify it's an actual legitimate representative and not a scammer. They are already providing their social security number over the phone, and social media doesn't make it any better. People freely share everything. It's easy to find people's personal info. What she's saying is 100% correct. And I believe that was a part of the conditioning, because if you remember when we were kids, when we were younger, and you would call like customer service places and they never asked for your social. It was just like your first and last name and address. Then it started becoming mandatory, like, oh, we need your social, the last 4 of your social, to verify things. And now it's like the information is just out there. and that's the scary part, because it's like once somebody gets your social security number, they literally can do anything with it. So let me go ahead and bring on Yesenia 777. Yesenia, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hey, TA.
Hi.
Sorry, I was finishing up this Subway real quick. Okay, so I'm 24 now, but back when I was 18, I was pregnant at 17. I had my daughter at 18, and I lived in California. And there was this like identity theft ring that was going on in the welfare office. I guess this a couple of the welfare ladies were handing out socials and stuff. So apparently, me and my daughter, who wasn't even one at the time, our socials got passed out for like tax purposes and whatnot. So I have to check my credit score and my literally not even 1-year-old's credit score every year. And then when around 2016, I needed my tax refund information for college, and they had to send it to me through the mail, but the people sent me the information of the other person that filed as me, and they had claimed my daughter under their name. So they got taxes. It showed that they got money out of my name, and I wasn't able to get my tax refund like on time that year because of the identity theft. So like, I basically got the information who it was, somebody in LA. But when I took that information to the police, they were like, well, we can't really do anything about it because it's like, I don't know. It basically was like a investigation that went nowhere. So fast forward to now, I'm still having trouble with my social and my daughter's. Not only every year do I have to have an IP pin, there's also a flag, and my credit is just like, I have to have like so many verification just to prove that it's me. It's been a fucking hassle. And then now up to now, I still haven't received my 2019 taxes, any stimulus checks, or my 2020 because of the identity. Like the whole, once the pandemic hit, it just like stopped everything for me. And so yeah, it's just a hassle. People are so like just fucked up. I get people are trying to get their money, but like, damn.
Yeah, it's not a victimless crime. And I think that's the problem, is that because you're not, like the girl said, I'm not putting a gun in anybody's face. Well, that doesn't mean anything. Like, you're still, the ends is still the same thing. You're trying to take money that you didn't work for off of somebody else's, plate.
Right. And then you're claiming to be someone that you're not. Like, I get it, you'll get your little couple thousand, but in the end, like, I'm the one that's having to prove that I'm really who I am. And it's like, they're not believing me. And it's like, gosh damn, I gave you birth certificates, socials, ID, my damn electric bill. Like, I don't know what more you want from me, but still, I'm still struggling. I done called the IRS nonstop. I just kept getting like a referral, that you'll get a referral, send in your birth certificate, like to prove this is you. But still yet I have yet to get 2019 and up, and we're in 2021. And I just like, at this point, I'm just like, I don't even know what to do anymore. I don't know who to talk to, because like, I always get the runaround, and it's a long struggling battle. And I'm just, and having to check my daughter, who's now 6, her credit score every year, and having like a credit block, making sure nothing gets run up on her thing. And I'm thinking maybe I just got I changed my last name since then. So I'm hoping that's like, that'll help out, so it's not connected to my old social that's already been out. But other than that, it's a struggle, and it probably will continue to be a struggle until I can actually get it like swiped clean.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story.
Yeah, the struggle is real, people.
No, that is.
I'm listening.
And like the crazy part is that if she owed the IRS money, they be on it. But because the IRS owes her money, that's why they're waiting, and we'll figure it out. We'll get to it when we get to it. It's crazy. It really is. But if the shoe was on the other foot, trust me, you'd be paying.
Oh, right. The cease and desist.
All right, let me go ahead. But thank you so much for calling in, Yesenia.
Okay, take care. I'll be listening.
Okay. Let me go ahead and bring on Scorpio Vibe 0207. Scorpio Vibes, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hey, T.
Hi.
How y'all doing?
We're doing good. I'm loving that pink hair.
Thank you. uh, so I have like a lot of identity theft horror stories,
Uh-huh.
but probably about 10 years, no, probably over 10 years ago was the first time it happened. And I ended up going to jail. I got pulled over for speeding. And I went to jail because they said I had a fraudulent felony warrant. I guess somebody had wrote a check or something in my name.
Mm-hmm.
They took me to jail and they ended up letting me go because they had a picture of the person and they was like, this clearly isn't you. So they let me go the next day. Then probably about 4 years later, somebody had a student loan in my name. And that took about 4 years for me to get off. When I went to the school, they said that when I went to the school, they said it would never come off my record. They said it happens, but no one ever gets it taken off and you end up having to pay it back. So I fought for 4 years, sending them all the information that they wanted, and they still wouldn't take it off. So by the fourth year, they were sending me letters trying to garnish me. So I went to a lawyer and a lawyer sent them a cease and desist. And that's the only way they took it off my credit report and everything.
Mm.
Then my taxes got stolen. That took about a year for me to get my money back off of that. And the last thing that happened, somebody went and just probably a few months ago, they went and got a bunch of furniture in my name. But now I check my credit report every single day. I got Credit Karma and Experian apps on my phone. I check everything. I'm gonna put a block on it. I don't know why I haven't done it yet because I'm still trying to do some things. But as soon as I stop, then I'm gonna put a block on it because I'm told they'll notify you if anything is happening and they'll call you and let you know. And then you have to approve it to say if it's you or not. But it is really hard and stressful. And sometimes that you just got to pay the money back. I was lucky, but that's all I wanted to say.
Okay, well, thank you so much for sharing your story. That's
You're
really
welcome.
unfortunate that happened to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you know, the unfortunate part with all of that stuff, with the whole identity theft thing, is that they end up treating you like you're the criminal. You know, when you're like, this is not me, I didn't do this, it's like you're still held under suspicion, you know,
And
while
they had
that
the
person is
picture
gone.
of the person. They literally had the picture of her. Even the school had a picture of the person. It wouldn't let me see the picture just in case I knew who the person was.
Wow.
But they knew it wasn't me, but they were still trying to make me pay it.
Wow. Because they figured, you know, somebody went to school, you know, regardless if it was you or her, somebody needs to pay the tab.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they're looking at it, which is just unfortunate because that's not your fault.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, sis, for calling in.
All right, you're welcome.
So let me go ahead. I'm going to bring on 10-4 Rican. 10-4 Rican, if you go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hey guys.
Hey.
When I used to work in Verizon, I think Verizon gets like at least 10,000 attempts at customer data a day, if not more. Wow. So cybersecurity has been a huge thing for them for a long time, because Verizon has the second largest. It's either the first or the second. I think Amazon's the first largest, but Verizon has the second largest like database of info, like in an enterprise data warehouse or something like that at the time that I still worked there. So it's like the amount of hits is crazy. So you could imagine for the other carriers how often hackers are trying to get information from these cell phone companies and probably the cable companies too. Also, inside sales, aka telesales, you know, the people that sell stuff over the phone. I used to like be what's called absence management for them. So basically, if a telesales rep was going to call out, I was like the middleman. I was the one that took the calls, updated their schedule and all that stuff. And we used to deal with like the higher ups, like the director level, and even like almost like VP level sometimes. So we would get kind of like the back end stuff, hear all the tea going on, And one of the biggest issues that Verizon had was with the vendors. So as you know, a lot of these companies, like they like to use third-party vendors because it's cheaper for them to use a third-party vendor. Whereas if you get a third-party vendor, you could charge $7 to $10 an hour, while an actual Verizon employees charge $15 an hour to do the same job. Caveat: these people, the people that work for these vendors, know that they're pennies on the dollar. They don't get audited enough, and these reps that become bitter because a lot of these third-party vendors, they weren't exactly the best places to work, would always sell customer information. Always, because they're like, well, you're only paying me $7 to $10 an hour. My friend who actually works for Verizon gets paid 15 or more an hour, and I have a horrible boss, and I have access to all these, people's accounts, social security information, addresses. So you could easily be like, oh yeah, I'm Jane Smith and I live at 123, Salisbury Lane at blah, blah, blah. And you'd be able to easily verify that if you have information from a person's cell phone account. And we've seen a lot of that. And it's also like an issue for the people who are overseas doing this stuff too, because once again, like you're giving them access to sometimes rich people's information that they would never normally get.
Right. And they don't have the same level of care. Like if I'm a customer service agent, I'm living in India, I don't give a damn if Americans are getting scammed, because that's what kind of happened with us with the Target breach, is because they started outsourcing jobs to India. And I'm not saying that all Indians don't care. I'm not saying that, but do they really have the same level of concern? It's not their people's data, because when the dust settled, the data breach came from India, period. And America's been outsourcing jobs for like the past 15 years.
And that's the ugly side of it that a lot of people don't realize about it. And these companies know the risk and they don't care because they want to please shareholders. So they don't care if your data is messed up, They'll just send a letter, oh, here, we'll give you free credit monitoring and call it a day while your life is ruined. Because one of my friends, he went through it when he first came to this country, like almost 20 years ago. To this day, he still has like a folder like this that he has to keep whenever he applies for anything. It's been for 20 years now, even though it comes up a lot less, because this ex-boyfriend of his, when he first came to the country, bought a house in his name. Meanwhile, he was working at Burger King when he first came to this country. How the hell did he get a house? It's all 2008 housing crisis. So it was a prime example of how things went. But, to this day, he still has like a huge, like almost like briefcase that, if it comes up, which it still does once in a while, 20 years later, like he's like, yeah, it ruined his life. It really threw a monkey wrench in for everything for him for years.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate the things that happen to people. That's why I always stress that, your credit is very important. In this day and age, your credit is your identity. People will base your worthiness, quote unquote, off of your credit. So if your credit has been ruined or, is in shambles because of criminal elements, it's very, very hard to clean that up. And a lot of times they'll treat you like you are the criminal. Like, well, what did you do? How did you get into this situation? Even though it may not have been your fault. So that's why I wanted to do this stream. So that way, hopefully nobody finds themselves in that situation. If they haven't been, it's better to prevent it now than to try and clean it up later.
And I see you, Marquis. One final thing, just like I said several Zooms ago, hard reset your devices when you're done, okay? That way nobody gets your stuff. And I'm complete.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much, sis. Yeah, people just give away all types of stuff. It's crazy. Let me go ahead and bring on We're Red Tonight. Marcia, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm watching Marky because I know people have been run over a little bit. I'm doing well, just a little bit under the weather.
You sound like it.
Yeah, tonsillitis is a bitch. But I just want to say about the whole phishing thing in emails, because when I was in school for criminal justice back, like, damn, it's a long time ago, like 18 years ago. That's one of the things we learned was about cyber phishing and, them get information over, through email and stuff. Because even though it was still new, people were starting to do that. One of the things is now you can start pretty much tell by emails. You could tell an email from Amazon versus a phishing email from Amazon, because usually if you read your emails from like Chase or Amazon and everything, they would, even though they have links there, it would tell you to go to the actual website instead of actually clicking the link, versus where the phishing websites will actually tell you to click the links. So it's always better to go to the website itself or to the app when they send you a notification about your bank. So if you get like the Amazon phishing ones, when they're like somebody, order something and here's the order, and you didn't order anything, just go to the Amazon app or to the website that you go to, and you can look at your orders and you will see that there's nothing there, so you don't have to worry about it. And the only reason why I'm saying this is because I saw it a few times a couple of weeks ago where a few people was like, oh, we got something and I don't know if I should click it or not. And someone was like, oh, go ahead and click the links. And I'm like, no, don't click the links, because that is a phishing email. And like so many people in Discord was telling these people to click the links. And I'm like, oh my God, like, no, you're gonna get this person like hacked. And it just boggled my mind how many people didn't know that you don't click links in emails, or if people send you videos or something and you normally don't get a video from a person or a message for that person, is pretty common sense. Don't click that link.
Right.
So it's just like, that's what I always say, because like if somebody normally, I talk to people and they don't normally send me a link, I would call them on the phone. I'm like, did you send me this link? And they were like, no. Then I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna delete this message. But if they tell me yes, I'm like, what is it? What is it for? Like, I investigated before I even like click links, just because of what they told me before. So yeah. But I was just saying that because I was just seeing from Discord like last month and how so many people were telling other people, go ahead and click those links. I'm just like, Jesus, take the wheel.
Well, thank you so much for that, Marcia. I appreciate you calling in.
You're welcome.
I know she's under the weather.
Oh yeah, I can't. Somebody said, oh, I want pineapple juice. I thought somebody was telling me to drink pineapple juice, and I'm like, I can't drink pineapple juice. I'm allergic to it.
Yeah, that's kind of acidic too on the throat.
Oh yeah, the pineapple juice and tomatoes. That shit would have me in the hospital.
All right, thank you for calling in, sis.
Thank you.
Somebody else in the chat was saying, JXMBX says, be careful with family. My sister knows my dad's credit info. My dad's info, including the social security number. She took out a credit card in his name. Nobody knew until she couldn't pay for it and had a bunch of fees. So yeah, that's another thing too. Sometimes you can't even trust your family. I remember a big thing growing up was people getting furniture, getting light bills in their kids' names. And I remember back in the day, I worked third-party collections, like out of high school. And, third parties like bottom of the barrel, stuff that people will not pay. It's pennies on the dollar. But I remember working in third party, we were dealing with a lot of kids who at that point were like 19 and 20. And now they're trying to apply for college. They're trying to apply for, apartments. And they can't get an apartment in their name. They can't get certain loans because they have light bills from when they were literally 3, 4, 5, and 6 years old. You know, they have things in their names from their parents. So it was a mess having to call somebody and they're having to send us their birth certificate showing that, okay, at the time that you're claiming I made this debt, I was literally 7 years old. I couldn't have made the debt. Well, at that point, we don't care. It's in your name. So you can thank mother and daddy for that. You still got to pay us this money. So yeah, it's a mess. Sometimes it be your own family, honey. Let me go ahead and bring on Naturally M. Naturally M, go ahead and unmute your mic.
This is perfect timing because I was not trying to kill her. I was trying to give some advice. I said, if you're not allergic, because the reason why we get tonsillitis or any immune anything is because of our gut, because I had to go through that. That's the only reason why. I mentioned pineapple juice or cucumber juice. It heals your liver and all of that. But anyways, I'm not trying to kill you. So 2 things. It's like God showed me before it happened. So you told us about like the Amazon link, and I was just getting so many Amazon links. I'm like, Lovely T told me. And when they send it, I was like, stop texting me. I'll block it. Or I said, stop trying to scam people, and then block them. And then one time my mom was like watching a video on Facebook about a scammer trying to scam a Social Security worker. And he was like, can you give me your ID number? And he's like, no, like, he's like, sir, I'm an agent. How are you gonna, you should have my information. Why are you asking me for my information if you're working for the Social Security? And literally the next day, someone tried to call me and was like, oh, if you don't, they left a message, if you don't call back, your Social Security, something's gonna happen to it. And it was like, if I did not watch that video the day before, I probably would have given my information. And then when I called them and I said, yes, sir. And he's like, this is, hi, ma'am, or something like that. And I was like, oh, can you give me a callback number? He was like, you don't need my callback number. And he was getting all mad. I'm like, thank God I watched this video. And so many older people are getting scammed. I think my great aunt, she got scammed by them because they're, you know, the older people, they're surviving off of their Social Security and they think something is happening to them. You know, they've been taking so much money. But honestly, thank you for telling us about the Amazon. I mean, I really don't have anything to worry about because I don't really buy from Amazon a lot, but they send it multiple times. And then another time is I bought like a digital card and I clicked on one link and then it sent me to my bank account. And I was like, okay. And then it just so happened that they made me mess up something had me go into my bank account. And then I called and they're like, ma'am, you weren't supposed to click on that other link. So I had to change all my information and all of that. So I talked for a long time, but yeah, it's crazy, but I'm happy we had this conversation. It's so important to be careful. And crazy enough, every time I try to sign into my account or something, I forget my password. So whoever trying to hack into me, they can't, because I'm always changing my password probably every week. So yeah, but thank you. Good night.
Definitely. Thanks for calling in, sis. Her talking about her bank reminds me of a situation. Like I said, these scammers are getting very, very crafty. One they'll like leave these weird voicemails. Somebody left a text message one time about like, you know, immigration, IRS. I mean, like some of these messages are scary. Like what's going on? And then you have to check yourself. Like, don't call that shit. Like, they got nothing to do with you. But I remember I had gotten a phishing email that looked so good. It looked like it came from Wells Fargo. And I don't know what, it was some type of message from Wells Fargo. And I was not thinking, like, you know, it's just so much going on. I log in and I'm talking about as soon as I hit enter, I'm like, fuck, this is a phishing. So I went to wellsfargo.com, went in there, changed my password instantly. Like once it's like as soon as I hit enter, I was like, what did I just do? That was not from Wells Fargo. So it's like some of them look so good, like they'll just have you fooled. And I made sure to call the bank and let them know, and they wanted me to forward them the email. So I forwarded it to them, you know, just in the event they had my password. But as soon as I realized it, you can stop it as soon as like, you know, and I was able to go in and change it. But yeah, they're getting really, really clever, you know, where sometimes they'll like really fool you. So at this point, just because I don't want to risk nothing, if I need to check anything with my bank account, PayPal, Amazon, I just go directly to the website. That's just the safest way. Even if they're sending an email saying this, this, and that, I'll read the email and then I'll just go to the website. I see a lot of folks in here that were saying that their mothers put stuff in their names. That's crazy. Somebody said they had Fingerhut. And I remember Fingerhut back in the day. They had Fingerhut in their name. So it looks like a lot of parents was out here jacking up people's credit when they were babies, but that was like really a real thing, especially in third party. And unfortunately, that baby who's now an adult is on the hook for it. So like debt never goes away. People think that somehow debt disappears into the sky. I worked collection for years. Debt never goes away. Debt just transfers. It's like energy. You know what I'm saying? Even when you die, your debt does not go away. We've had people, oh, well, my daddy died 2 years ago. Well, you're the next of kin. Grab your checkbook. Debt doesn't go away. So think twice before you put something in your child's name, because it's still going to, you know, carry on with them, you know, till the day they die or until they pay it off. But yeah, even, you know, if somebody dies, that means nothing. Okay, where's the estate paperwork? We need money from the estate. It's crazy. I don't miss them days, honey. Let me go ahead and bring on Marie Alice. Marie, go ahead and unmute your microphone. Marie?
Hi. Oh God, I can't believe you called me.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, hold on, my head. Can you hear me?
Okay, yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. Oh my God, I can't believe you called me. Hey T. I'm so surprised. I actually only raised my hand because one of the people who spoke earlier, she reminded me that my mom back in the day, like this had to be, oh God, over 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. She spent like 3 nights in jail because somebody stole her identity and murdered her husband. And they thought it was my mom. They thought it was my mom, all because my mother spells her name. Her name is Catherine, but she spelled it with a C and a K. Somebody stole her identity, was using the C instead of the K, and murdered her husband. And they locked my mom up for 3 days. Oh, so my mom had to change her social. She had to change her address. She had to literally prove to them that it was not her. And this was over 20 years ago. This was, oh God, this had to be back in early 90s. And she spent 3 days in jail in Coney Island. 3 days in jail because she kept telling them like, that's not me. That's not me. My dad had to like bail her out of jail because they refused to believe that it wasn't her. So they finally found her. The real lady who killed her, she like went down south and was hiding out. But she knew that my mom that she stole my mom's identity and that she murdered her husband and used my mom's identity and fled down south. I cannot believe that. Like, I remember having to like go get my mom from jail because it's funny now, but it was crazy back then because no matter what she kept telling them, she's like, that's not me. Like, this is not who I am. She had birth certificate, light bill. My father was physically there. Like, yep, I'm her husband. Like, she didn't kill me. They still kept my mom for 3 days.
And so when it came out, this sounds like a like people are saying an ID movie, Lifetime movie. So then when they found out it wasn't your mom, what happened? Did they apologize? Did they pay her for work?
No, they ended up from what I remember, eventually the real murderer, she got caught and she had stolen somebody else's identity by that time. So she was using somebody else's information by that time, but she was doing like check frauds or something like that. Like this lady she was really off the chain. But it took my mother literally years. Like I still think my mom to this day still has like stuff in her safe that says the whole situation because she always was like, I have to keep this because she had to fight for years to get her name back. So she from that point forward, she had to always make sure Catherine with a K, not a C. Like, don't, she was adamant about that because she spent 3 nights in jail.
Right, right.
So it was really crazy. I remember being like, what? That's my, like, I remember my dad having to like bring us up there and telling him, like, I'm right here. Like, it's not me. This is not the same lady. They did not believe her at all. 3 nights in jail.
And see, back then it was so easy to do identity theft because even like in the 90s, the check, y'all remember the 90s, check scams was big in the 90s.
Oh yeah.
Turning up checks left and right, stealing people's checkbooks, going on shopping sprees. It was crazy. That was a whole hustle when we were growing up, like in high school. People just burning checks. So yeah, that is so sad.
Crazy. And it was like traumatizing because literally like my dad had to bring me and all my brothers up there to go bail my mom, to try to bail my mom out. And they still kept her. So like I said, 3 whole nights she spent in jail. She almost lost her job. Like it was a whole ordeal, but thankfully it all worked out. But it took her literally like 10 plus years to get her name back. And she had to be very adamant with every company. And even if she was just opening up like a gym membership, she had to be like, Catherine with a K. Do not put a C on my name, because it was so serious. But I just want to say I'm such a big fan. I cannot believe you called me. Oh my gosh. T, you are my auntie in my head.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for calling in. That's a crazy story, but I'm glad everything worked out for your mother. Now, you're welcome. Now, do y'all remember one of the first, I guess you could call it a story time before it was called story times? I'm like, this was like, I don't even know if you could even find the video because I probably made it private, honey. But a long time ago, one of my first story times on my channel, like back in 2008, was talking about how my friend took me to Wendy's and this bitch was running check scams. I don't know if y'all ever seen this video. Do y'all remember that? Because I see Marcia like, what? That was one of my very first story times. Me and my homegirl, and I'm hungry. You know, we're hungry. She's like, oh yeah, let's go to Wendy's. I got you. Okay, cool, shit. I want some free food. She's paying for it. Let's go. So we go to Wendy's in the Midway in St. Paul. And so, you know, she's writing the check. It's about $20 worth of food. She gives the man the check. The man, like, you know, runs the check or whatever. And he's like, yeah, the check is not working. And she's like, what do you mean it's not working? She's like trying to argue with this man. I have money in the account. What you trying to say? Then of course she pulls her. You trying to say that the check ain't good because I'm black? So she's snapping on this dude. And the dude's like, no, the check is not going through, ma'am. Do you have another check you want to use? And then she's like, well, okay, well, fine. I have another one. I'm thinking, well, who the hell has 2 separate checkbooks? You know, I'm not thinking nothing of it. So then she goes to run the other check, and I guess it's coming back in their system stolen. So finally he's like, and she's holding up Wendy's, you know, traffic. And so finally the guy's like, you know what? This check is stolen. It's not going through. This bitch was like, ah! She peeled out in the dry. I was like, what the? I was like, you're sitting here trying to buy food with stolen checks. Bitch, are you serious? Take me home. Get me up out this car. But that was one of my very first story times. I had everybody. This is back when YouTube was just, anybody could just get up there and talk about anything. We used to have fun, honey. That was one of my very first story times, was my homegirl trying to pop checks to pay for food at Wendy's. Child, the early 2000s wasn't shit. Was arguing with that man, pulled out the race car. What you try? Because I'm black, my check. No, it ain't because you black, it's because they're stolen. Sit your ass down. Bring on Chocolate KT. Chocolate KT, go ahead and unmute your microphone.
Hey T.
Hey Chocolate, how you doing?
Fine. I've been a big time T-Simple for a long time, and I've never talked to you on here. I just come on and listen to everybody, but I had to speak on this one today.
Well, I'm glad
how's everybody? Yes, like I love you. Like my son, he be like, you on the meeting with Lovely? You on the meeting with Lovely? I'm like, yeah, get out of here. Anyway, I wanted to say, like, I know everybody's talking about, I don't know if anybody touched on this one yet. I don't think so, but I have noticed a lot of like the Bitcoin people, hackers have been like hacking people's accounts on IG. Like they hacked at least 2 people I knew. And they were just on there pretending like they were them. And then like, I think it's Forex or something like that. One of those. And they was pretending like they were them. And what they were doing was they were just like, oh, I got my new house, hook up with this person, and just posting like fake receipts. And so one of them had messaged me because I didn't know my friend was hacked until like I was like, who is this? Because she don't talk like this. So they had her on like, I was like, hey, they was like, hello. And they kept messaging me and I was like, what, whatever. So then they had like her, it seemed like her, I was like, this is not really her. So stop messaging me. And so they had like the TikTok, and I guess they had them talking over the TikTok. I was like, that don't sound like something they would do. And so they let them know, but the girl finally, we let her know, and she was like, yeah, I was hacked. I don't do that. So I'm trying to figure out how crafty these people are, because how are you able to manipulate somebody's voice on a TikTok video, making it seem like they're trying to, get you, they're doing, Bitcoin or Forex or whatever. And they really are like trying to make it seem like it's them and get people to sign up, I guess. It's just really weird. And another girl I know got hers hacked as well. So I know the other day, it was like last week, they had iPhone, because I have an iPhone. They sent me a message saying that, it was a data breach or whatever, and I needed to change my password for IG and Facebook. And I was like, what? I hurried up and did it, because when I saw that, I was like, I don't need to be trying to make pages over. I don't have time for all of that. So I just wanted to see if anybody else was having that issue, because when they tell me I have a password breach, I go ahead and I change whatever on my passwords on my apps. But I didn't know if you had heard about that, or if anybody had experienced that.
I haven't personally. When you're getting messages about password breaches, are you getting them directly from TikTok and Facebook and Instagram? From those companies?
Yeah, I think it was on there. It was either, yeah, it was saying that somebody was trying to get into my account, and I'm guessing it was the Bitcoin people, trying to, hack. It was either them or iPhone. I'm trying to remember which one it was, but I know I went on and changed my password, and I haven't had any issues since then. Because IG and Facebook are kind of, you can kind of connect those, but I still try to have two separate passwords.
Yeah, I know with 1Password, the app I was telling you about, they'll let you know as well if there's been any data breaches, because sometimes these companies try to keep it on the low because it looks bad for their company. Like, they let me know when Twitter had a data breach. Twitter hadn't said nothing. 1Password was like, they had a data breach. This is the time and the date that it happened. Change your password now. And I went right and I changed my password. So certain companies have access to that information, because sometimes they don't want to let the public know when there's a data breach. They're supposed to, but a lot of times you won't even know because it's bad press.
Yeah, I think it was iPhone that did it. I know it was IG. I went on there and changed it real quick. And I'm going to start just listening to this conversation. I'm just going to start like monitor my computer more and just like changing my password, because that is really scary. Like, I don't, I'm not making that money like that. You be breaking in my stuff. So
it is scary. And then the thing that you just want to remember is just, change your password every 30 to 60 days. There was 1Password, because there's certain apps that I just don't log into. And that password had been there since like 2017. I was like, oh shit, let me go ahead and update that. Because there's just certain things you don't use all the time. So when you're made aware of it, just go ahead and change it. But if it's like definitely apps that you use all the time, like TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, you should be changing those passwords every 30 to 60 days.
Okay. I know now, because I thought it was complicated enough, but yeah, I'm gonna start changing them like every time.
Yeah, it can be annoying, but if you get one of those password savers, like I was telling you, Dashlane or 1Password, it makes it easier.
All right, thank you, T. Love you.
Okay, love you too, sis. Thanks for calling in.
Okay.
Let me go ahead and we're gonna go until 9:15 here. Let's see. Let me go ahead and bring on Ty Soulfly 25.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
Oh, we're the same color. Twins.
I've been following you for 5 years. What really solidified me like having to subscribe to your channel was that piece of a burger.
Oh. video.
I was like, oh my God. Yeah, I was like, I gotta subscribe after that. But I was wanting to talk about, I was going to talk about the phishing thing. So I just graduated from EIU. So happy.
Where's EIU?
It's in Charleston, Illinois. It stands for Eastern Illinois University.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you. And I was in the library doing a final, and there was like this elderly British man, like I guess he'd been in the States for some years, but he was going to school and stuff like that. And I had been seeing him in the library, and he was asking about like an email. And so one of the library attendants came, and he was like breaking it down to him how it was a phishing email. And EIU had been having like a lot, like this past year, I have received over like 10 like phishing emails, and they would be along the lines of personal assistance needed, pay like $450 a week and stuff like that. And EIU, like after like a day or so, depending on like the time or whatever, they would like send notifications saying don't click the links and stuff like that. Because at first I wasn't sure, but I didn't click it and stuff like that. And for EIU, like it'll have like the department, legitimate EIU email will have the department name at the bottom, the fax and phone number and stuff like that. And so like after this, like I didn't know about like just how deep the phone stuff is to protect myself, because I am lazy. Like I've been using like 3 different passwords for the past umpteen years, but I've been looking into like the different password services that you said, and I'm gonna tell my mom when we get off of here, because she's like 70. Well, she's not my biological mom, but she's my mom because she raised me. And so I'm gonna tell her to like inform her of like the different stuff, because older people are like really vulnerable and stuff like that.
They are. And you got to figure it's a different generation for them. They're not used to all this technology, so it's already scary and overwhelming. And then now it's like, oh, there's phishing. Well, what's that? Because the only phishing they know is with the pole and a rod, So it's like all these new words and terminology. But yeah, definitely sit her down and explain to her, because that's where some of the vulnerability comes in, is from like elderly parents, kids. Like I'm always having to yell at my kids, like, y'all make sure y'all don't touch nothing in them emails, because what y'all not gonna do is get hacked and then they come after me. So it's like you got to talk to the kids and to the elders as well. So I agree with you.
Love you. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness, yes.
You're so welcome. Thank you so much for calling in, sis. She's so sweet. Let me go ahead and bring in Amanata Layla. Hope I didn't butcher it too bad.
Woo, I ran in from the other room.
Hey, sis.
Hello, hi T, hi everyone. I have a couple of stuff I want to get on. This is my first time being here, and I don't want to take up time because I know Marquis be having that piece of paper, honey.
She was okay. A drink, honey. She got slushy and lemonade blue drink.
She ready for the night.
Party.
Okay, so I wanted to talk about a couple of stuff, and it was more so regarding like okay, so the first point that I have here is a girl that I actually graduated high school from. When we were all like applying to like colleges and stuff like that, she had a really, really hard time, because I don't know if like everybody knows this, but like some people, they'll like sell their kids' information for like tax, to like file their taxes or whatever. So her parents were basically, because she has like a shit ton of brothers and sisters, she was Haitian. So her parents were like giving away her information for people to like file for her and get like a tax break and pay them back. So when it came to like her filing for college, she couldn't get financial aid. Like they were like, okay, well, why is it that every year it's always like a new person filing for you? Like, are you homeless? Like, what the fuck is going on? So it was like really, really hard for her to get into college. So she never went. She's basically a bum right now. But that's one point. And I know like a few streams ago we were talking about like the whole PPP thing, and I was like in the comments telling some stories. So basically, when you said that sometimes it's people in like HR that give away your information, that definitely is true, because my husband's uncle, he used to work at Domino's. My husband was also a manager at Domino's. So he's like one of those people that like do those fake PPP loans for you or whatever. So like he does the application, and he basically said he made like $120,000 from like making fake PPP loans for people. And he basically told my husband, like, if they come for him, he's ready to go to jail, and whatever happens, if they send him back to Africa, like he's ready, because he quote unquote invested his money. But yeah, he was asking my husband if my husband still has like people's information from like people that he hired or whatever. So he was asking my husband to like send him that information so he can go ahead and file for like PPP loans for all those people and basically like pocket the money. Thank God my husband said no, but it really do be like managers and stuff like that, people like that's selling other people's information.
Yeah.
And then when we were, oh gosh, I need a breath. Okay. When we were talking about when you were talking about how like parents use like their kids' names to like do stupid shit, I can attest to that because my little sister that is 17 years old, never worked a day in her life. My mom filed unemployment for her in Philadelphia because in Philly they were just giving like $10,000 checks, like well not even checks, but like they were just depositing $10,000 into your account, whether you ever worked or whether you're in the state of Philadelphia or not. Because my mom is in New Jersey.
This was this year?
Yep, this year. My mom filed for my little sister, who is 17, and like she got like I think more than 10,000. She got like $16,000 for my little sister, and I don't know how that's gonna work out because like if they start going back over the information, yeah, I'm spilling all the tea. But if they go back over all the information, they're like,
your family's tea, honey.
They would be like, how is this 17-year-old like getting unemployment and she's never worked a day in her life? So like that's going to be interesting. And last story, guys. So my mom is like, she just lets a lot of people like rent space in her house. Oh my God. So there was this guy over there, and he was also making like fake PPP loans or whatever. And like he made a shit ton of loans for people. And once it started coming for his ass, his bitch ass went to Africa. Boom. That's all my stories. Yeah, his bitch ass went to Africa.
She don't take on the whole family, honey.
He has kids here, so I don't know how that's gonna work out, but that's all my stories.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for letting us know.
Yeah, so be careful out there. Don't give your family your information. I don't know. I had to find a way to like lock my shit because my mom might try to like, and I own a business, which is really bad because I posted that I got like $20,000 from the PPP or whatever, but I'm legit. I actually own a business, but like I need to lock my shit because my mom can apply some nonsense like that in my name and fuck my ass up. And I have a kid, so I'm not playing that bullshit.
I don't blame you. I do not blame you at all. Well, thank you so much for calling in, sis. I appreciate you.
All right. Thank you. Have a good night, guys. Bye.
You too. Bye. Child, she done came in here and told everybody business in the family. Let me go ahead and bring on So Gifted Candace. Candace, go ahead and unmute your microphone.
Hey everybody, hi T.
Hi.
Okay, I don't even expect you to, I'm up here cracking up at, I think her name Tashira, the previous caller.
Yeah, she was spilling all the tea.
Oh my God. And it's funny because we probably all have stories like that, honestly. So I took my notes, let me hurry up. So I wanted to talk about the Yahoo breach that the one caller has spoke about initially. And what happened is, like, to me, before I would get these notifications from Yahoo that somebody tried to sign into my account. So I was like, I'll get that email, but I don't have any options to report it. And then the Yahoo would say that this person was from Shanghai, China. So I'm like, well, who is in Shanghai, China trying to get into my Yahoo? So when we're having this discussion, it's just like, I don't think not we all, but me, I don't think I truly understood. Like when you think about hacking and when you think about identity theft, you're thinking like, home, like US, but this is like global. Globally, that they're trying to get our information. And it kind of dawned on me when, Donald Trump, he was trying to like get TikTok to sell to the US because of the information that he felt like they were trying to get from citizens here. And that's true. People were like, oh, you're just jealous because TikTok popping. But that's true. There's no telling what type of information that these apps are extracting from us, because all we know is, hey, we want to do TikTok. We're not reading any of the terms and conditions. It's very long. We don't know what we're allowing them to do.
And we get so much information on these apps too. Like
we get so much
about each other just from Facebook. They know Facebook knows more about you than your spouse knows about you. Honestly.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm glad you brought up Facebook. Okay, so oh God, I don't really know how to, this is kind of too much information. Okay, so I have a family member who's in jail, he in prison. So I check his social medias for him. So I don't know how, like when we first do Facebook, I don't know about anybody else, but when I first created Facebook, I'm not going through my settings. I'm not going through all of these things on Facebook because I created the account. I'm posting my posts where I'm like, you know, with my family and we're posting, we're laughing, we're having a good time watching videos and, you know, connecting on Facebook. So I went through his stuff and he says, well, I need you to change my password because he's giving somebody else's his password to check your social media. So I found, I don't know how I did it, but in settings, you can go and see the devices that was logged into your Facebook. So I look at his devices and he didn't tell me to do this, but I cleared everything out. I'm like, I don't know what these people have access to on his, you know, his social media. So I came across it trying to change something myself. And it says that someone on an iPhone was logged into my account from Los Angeles. Now, it says the location was in LA and I'm in Vegas. So I'm just like, well, is it because we're kind of close proximity or who would be in bottom line is we don't know. And even when we go shopping, they're asking, can we track you? And then everyone is saying, you know, cookies, cookies, cookies. And then you want to see this website or you want to buy this item or you need this information for this article, whatever you're doing, some type of assignment, and you need this information from this article on this website you Google. They're like, oh, you can't get this unless you allow cookies. What does that entail? We really don't know. We don't know what we're allowing them to track. We don't know what we're allowing them to, you know, extract from our phones because everything essentially is in our phones.
Right.
And also, like, I know I got 2 minutes left. I'm gonna hurry up. Also, so you know how we're going through all this stuff with the pandemic. So people are applying for assistance. They're applying for food stamps. They're applying for, you know, energy assistance with the power bills and utility assistance. So I know I don't qualify for public assistance. But since the pandemic hit, people were like, oh, girl, you got 3 kids, you know, they'll help you, they'll give you something. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna apply. And then I had some family members who lost their place and they were staying with me. So I'm putting them on an application too. So I didn't qualify, of course, because of my income. So I didn't qualify. And people are like, really? Because you got 3 kids, whatever. There's a person calling my phone saying, hey, you know, we know you applied for so-and-so assistance. And I'm thinking the first call, I'm like, yeah, I did. But they were calling from a different entity of the state's public assistance. So I don't know how they got my information. I just got really spooked out. I just hung up and they called me again. And this was after 6 o'clock. So there's probably scammers and people calling people because they know they're vulnerable and they need help. And they're like, yeah, you know, I need assistance. I'm gonna give you my information. Let me apply. So we just have to be careful with that. All right, Marky. But yeah, we just have to be careful with all of that, you know, giving out our information because scamming, they really like taking it to another level. Hey, you need some public assistance. Let me help you with your info.
They really are.
Yeah, and they know people are vulnerable. So, but thank you so much. And Marky needs to give us a little drink or something. I'm trying to taste that.
Right. She's partying by herself with us.
Yes, but thank you. Good night, everybody.
So much. Good night.
Thank you.
So let me go ahead and bring Marianelle. Marianelle said she wants to say something.
Let me tell you guys a funny story just to make you, well, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Let me tell you guys a funny story just to make you guys laugh. I worked for a furniture company, like the head office. I don't even remember when, because it was like a while back. And there was this guy that was brand new, but he came in the office 2 years after I started working there. And he was brand new. And I mean, he looked cute to me. He's not the type of guy that unfortunately you take to your parents because he has like dreadlocks and a bunch of tattoos and etc. But I was into the bad boys at that time. And he was super nice. I actually approached him and I was surprised because he didn't, you know, push me back. And he was super cute, super nice, taking me out. We started getting to know each other 2 months in. He asked me if it can be official. You know, everything was going well, basically. Child, this guy, when we celebrated 6 months that we became like official, he was like, do you want to come to my place to have dinner? I'm going to do a candlelight dinner, you know, just to celebrate 6 months, which was fine to me. I mean, like I said, he was cute. And I went to this guy's place, which was not the first time, by the way. And in the middle of the dinner, candlelight dinner might have had, he looked at me in the face and he's like, look, you know, when we first started dating each other, you told me what you do in the company. You work in the IT department, you place orders over the phone and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, sure, that's what I do. And he was like, look at Marky timing me. And he was like, And he was like, babe, do you think that, between 2 or 3 orders, you can just send me a few credit card numbers just here and there, just 1 or 2? I'm like, are you fucking serious? It's like, you took me out for 6 months, paying dinner for me for 6 months. Thank God I didn't give him the cookie though, but you took me out for 6 months, like just whining and dining me so you can have credit card numbers for the clients when I'm placing orders. It's just like, I was like, just one credit card. I'm not gonna purchase too much things on it so that we don't get caught. Don't worry, I know what I'm doing. I was like, just wasted 6 months of my goddamn life.
That's crazy.
I thought it was a funny story to share with you guys. But yeah, many girls, just because they love the guy, they would have just, just one credit card number is not going to kill. But yeah, it didn't work out. I'm sure you guys see why, but just wanted to share that funny story.
Well,
Marky, don't worry, I'm done. I'm done, Marky, you good.
He wanted just a few credit card numbers. One credit card number would have turned into a whole book of credit card numbers. You know what was so crazy at my old job, and y'all are not lying about people having access to people's data. So when I worked at my old corporate job, what was so crazy is that some of the people that you work with, you become friends, you become family. And then every now and then the police come up there and arrest them at their desk. Like, damn, what did Donald do? Well, Donald was taking the customer's information. The customer's calling in with their credit card or their check information to pay their car note. Donald got to build a relationship with one of the customers. He was a pretty well-to-do man. So at that point, I guess Donald felt because the customer was well-to-do, he's not going to miss if I also use his information to pay my mortgage, my car note, and other stuff. This dude was literally he was funding his whole lifestyle on the customer's credit information, bank information. It was crazy. And this went on for about almost a year because that's how much money this client had, that he didn't notice it right away. And so when he noticed it, he was like, whose mortgage am I paying for? And so then they traced the mortgage back to the guy, Donald's house. And then from there, they figured out that Donald worked at our job, and the police arrested him and he was charged with several felonies. So yeah, you guys are not lying when you say that sometimes it's the customer service agents that are taking people's information, like they're sweet talking you and getting to know your lifestyle. That's why you don't divulge too much information. Ma'am, I'm just calling in to pay a bill. Or, especially like with the internet people, they always want to know all types of information, especially asking for like high-speed internet. Why do you need such high-speed internet? Because I live stream. Oh, you're a live streamer, eh? Well, what do you do? Are you on Twitch? Are you on YouTube, ma'am? No. What we're not going to do is fish for info. Because I remember that story about Donald. I mean, he had that man thinking they were really cool, and the whole time he was paying his mortgage off that man's information. So sometimes these customer service agents, they'll try and act like they're your biggest, cheerleader, and oh, that's so cool. Oh, you're a social media influencer. And then the whole back of the mind, they're like, oh, this person got money. I'm about to go help myself to their account. So you got to watch out for that type of stuff. That's funny that Marinelle said that. So it's 9:15. I'm going to take one more call and then we're going to go ahead and get up out of here. Let me go ahead and bring on Stall Confessions. Style Confessions, go ahead and unmute your microphone.
Hi T, how are you today?
Hi, I'm doing good. How about you?
I think the one thing I wanted to mention that no one has really talked about are cryptocurrency and also all the scamming and spamming that goes on within that community. I know, for example, there are a lot of telegrams out there. You're going to have situations where people are sending you false numbers for accounts so they can steal your coins or so they can get access to your whole account. So because it is like a very long topic, I would say for people to have passwords set up, of course, having multiple wallets. So let's say if you get hacked in one wallet, you have others to back you up. Yeah, that's just something that's not really talked about, especially in those telegrams and stuff. Like, be very careful with what you're clicking on too. But that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. That was a nice bit of info to end with. I didn't even think about that, is that you have scammers out here trying to get people's Bitcoins, especially being that things are so popular right now. That's the hot commodity. So that was some really good information. So on that note, you guys, we've been on here. It's 9:17. I'm going to go ahead and get ready to log off. But thank you guys for joining me. I think this was a really good Zoom. Lots of information. Definitely go back. I hope you guys took some notes. Check out those apps that we talked about. Make sure you guys have, you know, an antivirus, a possible VPN if you need one. But just of all things, just trust your gut instinct. And if something does not look right, don't click on it, you know, check again. If they're sending you an email saying this is, you know, your boyfriend and you have no boyfriend, well, you know, it's not from your boyfriend, you know, like common sense. You know, if they're saying it's your husband, before clicking on it, call your husband. Hey, husband, did you send me this? He's either gonna say yes or no. So, you know, it's always okay to double check, because I'd rather have you guys be super cautious like me, where I'm like scared to click on anything, than to have your credit ruined like some of the people who called in tonight. So I just want to thank you guys for calling in, sharing your stories. So I'll see you guys in the Discord. All right. Good night, you guys.
Good night.
Bye.
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 Love y'all.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.